Harlem Renaissance. It was a time of extraordinary creativity. African Americans from the South migrated north. They sought better opportunities and a life free from Jim Crow's grip. Harlem, a neighborhood in New York City, became the epicenter of this cultural explosion. From the 1920s to the mid-1930s, a generation blossomed. This was more than just a migration. It was a movement. African Americans were stepping onto a national stage. They expressed themselves through art, music, literature, and dance. The Harlem Renaissance was a declaration. It announced to the world that Black lives, Black dreams, and Black stories mattered. This era was about reclaiming a narrative. For too long, the African American story had been told through the lens of oppression. The Harlem Renaissance offered a new perspective. It showcased Black excellence in all its forms. The impact of this period resonated far beyond the streets of Harlem. It laid the groundwork for the civil rights movement. The Harlem Renaissance was a beacon of hope. It illuminated the path toward equality. The Harlem Renaissance was a symphony of voices. Each artist, writer, and musician added their unique melody to the chorus. Langston Hughes, a central figure, captured the rhythm of the streets with his poetry. His words resonated with the everyday experiences of Black America. Zora Neale Hurston, a powerful voice, explored the complexities of Black womanhood. Her novels like Their Eyes Were Watching God celebrated Southern Black folklore and challenged gender norms. Music, the soul of the movement, reverberated in the clubs of Harlem. Jazz, with its improvisational spirit, became synonymous with the era. Duke Ellington, a musical maestro, transcended genre. His orchestra captivated audiences with its innovative sound and sophisticated arrangements. The artists of the Harlem Renaissance did more than entertain. They challenged stereotypes. Their work gave voice to the joys, sorrows, and aspirations of a people long silenced. Before the Harlem Renaissance, the dominant narrative of African Americans was one of struggle and hardship. Of course, these were harsh realities, but they were not the whole story. The artists, writers, and thinkers of this era sought to change that. They presented a more nuanced and complete picture of Black life. They celebrated their heritage, explored their identity, and asserted their humanity. This challenged the prevailing racist ideologies of the time. The Harlem Renaissance showed the world that African Americans were not a monolith. They were individuals with diverse talents, perspectives, and experiences. This new narrative was powerful. It chipped away at the foundation of prejudice and discrimination, and the images and stories that emerged from this era helped to humanize African Americans in the eyes of white America. It was a critical step towards equality and justice. W.E.B. Du Bois, a towering intellectual, played a pivotal role in shaping the Harlem Renaissance. A sociologist, historian, and Pan-Africanist, Du Bois believed in the power of education and activism. He co-founded the NAACP and used his voice to advocate for civil rights. His seminal work, The Souls of Black Folk, explored the concept of double consciousness. This term described the internal conflict experienced by Black Americans. They were forced to see themselves through the eyes of a racist society while striving to maintain their own sense of identity. Du Bois understood the importance of art and culture in the fight for equality. He saw the Harlem Renaissance as an opportunity to showcase the beauty and brilliance of black creativity. His influence on the movement was profound. He provided a platform for artists and intellectuals to express themselves and challenge the status quo. Section 5. Pan-African Dreams. Marcus Garvey, a Jamaican-born activist, brought a Pan-African perspective to the Harlem Renaissance. He believed in the unity of all people of African descent. Garvey advocated for black self-reliance and economic empowerment. He founded the Universal Negro Improvement Association, which promoted black pride and self-determination. Garvey's message resonated deeply with many African Americans who were disillusioned by the slow pace of progress in America. His Back to Africa movement encouraged black people to return to their ancestral homeland and build a new future, while his vision of a mass exodus to Africa never materialized. Garvey's impact on the Harlem Renaissance was undeniable. He ignited a sense of racial pride and inspired a generation to fight for liberation. Section 6. A Legacy of Pride. The Harlem Renaissance was more than just an artistic and intellectual movement. It was a social and political awakening. It instilled a sense of pride and self-worth in African Americans. This newfound confidence would have a lasting impact. The generation that came of age during the Harlem Renaissance refused to be silenced. They challenged segregation, discrimination, and disenfranchisement. The seeds of the civil rights movement were sown in the fertile ground of the Harlem Renaissance. The struggle for equality continued long after the last notes of jazz faded from the clubs of Harlem. But the spirit of the Renaissance lived on. It fueled the fight for justice and inspired generations to come. Section 7. Echoes of the Renaissance. The impact of the Harlem Renaissance extended far beyond the 1920s and 1930s. It laid the groundwork for future movements that celebrated black culture and demanded social justice. The black arts movement of the 1960s and 1970s drew inspiration from the Harlem Renaissance. Artists like Amiri Baraka and Nikki Giovanni used their work to express black pride, anger, and frustration with the ongoing struggle for equality. The echoes of the Harlem Renaissance can be felt in contemporary music, literature, and art. From the soulful sounds of jazz to the powerful words of spoken word poetry, the legacy of the Renaissance continues to inspire and empower. It reminds us that art has the power to challenge, to provoke, and to inspire change. Section 8. The Unfinished Struggle. While the Harlem Renaissance was a time of great progress, it's essential to acknowledge that the struggle for racial equality was far from over. The Great Depression hit Harlem hard, and the vibrant cultural scene began to fade. The fight for civil rights continued, with activists facing fierce opposition and violence. Even today, the echoes of racism and discrimination resonate in American society. The Harlem Renaissance serves as a reminder that the pursuit of justice is an ongoing process. It requires constant vigilance, unwavering commitment, and a willingness to challenge the status quo. We must continue to fight for a society where everyone has the opportunity to thrive, regardless of their race or background. Section 9. A Tapestry of Culture. The Harlem Renaissance was a vibrant tapestry woven from the threads of music, literature, art, and activism. It was a testament to the resilience, creativity, and indomitable spirit of African Americans. This transformative era redefined what it meant to be black.